because Tom Hanks portrayed a Maga as a dim-witted racist. What I don't understand about that is why they would be upset at being accurately portrayed. That's what I don't get. They go out of their way to be performatively dim-witted and racist. And yet, when other people acknowledge the fact that they are both dim-witted and racist, they get upset about it. I don't understand that. You made your point. We get it. You are trying very hard to come across as dim-witted racists, and so you have. Congratulations. We all see you for who and what you are trying very hard.
Have y'all seen the video of that Cuban Trump supporter, man, complaining about Trump after there was a video that went viral of him celebrating Trump's victory a few months ago because Trump signed an executive order that's pretty much demanding that truck drivers know and speak and can read English in order for them to be a truck driver? And guess what this guy does for a living, man? Yeah, he drives a truck, man. He hasn't just driven a truck. He's driving a truck for 20 freaking years, man. For 20 years, and now he's scared that he might lose his license because he doesn't speak a lick of English. And at that point, I mean, yo, you've been here for 20 years, man. At that point, you kind of did it to yourself, bro. But whatever, man. It points to the fact that there was a lot of Latinos, man, that were supporting Trump, that I was looking at them like, I don't know, I think you might want to be quiet at this one, at least publicly, you know, because a lot of Latinos out there were doing certain things that, you know, when the Democrats are in control, they just look the other way. They don't really care, you know. But when the Republicans get up in there, they start shaking things down, you feel me? And now this dude is over here scared because he's like, damn, how am I gonna feed my family, bro? This is all I do. And yeah, I know that the Latinos that hate Trump are having a field day with this video, man. It's going around the internet. Everybody's telling me, you see, we told you he don't care about no Latinos. But nah, bro, come on, let's start learning English, bro. You've been here 20 years, bro. That's one thing that Latinos do that blows my mind, bro. I know people been here 40, 50 years, bro. Don't speak a lick, can't even beg in English, bro. But yeah, that was a little funny.
Hello folks, thanks so much for the support. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the follow and the comments, and you know, thank you for sharing your opinion in the comments. I really do appreciate everybody's support. So we're starting to get a first list of some things that US retailers are starting to find hard to source, and also there's going to be a knock-on effect on price, obviously, because of that. And I've broken it down into three categories. I've broken it down into kind of like fruit and vegetables, and kind of like staples, and also the canned products. And it's not an exhaustive list. I just don't have time for the video. So here's what we're finding so far. So this is a research done by Moffat for US retailers that are finding hard to get certain products, and so they weren't able to fill their shelves. And there's some things which I'd never thought of, actually. One of them was salt. Apparently salt is getting scarce in some states. Other places it's plentiful, but right now in some places salt is starting to get scarce. And please remember, folks, what you might be experiencing as scarcity for you might not be happening somewhere else. That's because of the ripple effect of the supply chain process. It's not just one chain, it's multiple chains come from multiple places. So salt, brown sugar, cocoa, ice and sugar, cornstarch, and then some vegetables, fruits and vegetables, pineapples, kiwi fruit, oranges, and cabbages. Then canned fruit, which I didn't think would be an issue, but it apparently is. Canned beans, and this was baked beans, canned tuna, and canned pineapple. Folks, this is Moffat Research, the source. My name is Nick. I'd love you. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Maybe if there's a particular product in the States that you're finding it difficult to get, or you've seen a big price increase, just let me know about that. And I'd love you guys to give me a follow.
Great news coming out of elections in Texas. On Saturday, statewide elections were held for local school boards. And in Texas, as you know, right-wing nut jobs have taken over school boards backed by Christo-fascist billionaires. And in a sweeping defeat, all of them were defeated all of the crazy white ring anti-LGBTQ, anti-diversity, anti-books, anti-pro-liberal education were all defeated in a landslide in Texas, in the suburbs of Dallas and Houston. So perk up, everyone. Things are changing, and the good guys are winning in Texas.
Hey, don't doom scroll watch this video. This video is for the people who have to actually go into work tomorrow. Like, go in. Not only that, as if that's not enough, right? You got to work. But not only that, you have to go to work with a bunch of supporters of the SpongeBob, sauerkraut smelling, syphilis looking. Oh my God, I got to relax. Sorry, guys, I went off on a tangent, but what I'm trying to say is you guys have to work in spaces of supporters of the Dollar Tree dictator. And some of those people are quiet and closeted for good reason, and some of them aren't. And some of them aren't. So you are the MVPs, because it takes a lot of restraint. It takes a lot of restraint. And I know we have to work. We got to work. We have to actually earn money, unfortunately. So you're forced into this situation where, if I say something, if I say what I want to say, they're going to kick my ass out of here. They're going to kick my ass out of here. And so this is just merely me giving you your flowers, because that can't be easy. That cannot be easy. And one of the reasons why I make the content that I make is because we have to make light of the reality of the world right now. And we need to continue to work through changing it. So that's all I got to say. Okay.
On Friday afternoon, Donald Trump decided to post a photo of himself, an AI-created image showing him dressed as the Pope and seated in the Vatican. He shared that on his official Truth Social account. It's not clear if Trump himself made it. I don't think he has the mental capacity to do that, but somebody within his group, his organization, his administration made this fake image, and Trump pushed it out on social media to millions of people. This immediately sparked backlash, and not just amongst the liberals. It wasn't the snowflakes out there upset and offended. It was his own supporters that provided the loudest voices of opposition. People that have spent years hyping up Donald Trump, attacking Joe Biden, even people who are currently defending his trade war like he's the smartest man and we're all idiots. Those folks couldn't even stomach this disgusting image. And now let me, before I even read some of these responses that Raw Story put together, and they're pretty good, but I want to point something out here. I know, and look, I'm a Catholic. I was born and raised. Granted, I'm a lapsed Catholic. I've not been to church in a couple decades, but I went through all the sacraments. I'm a Catholic by definition. Let me tell you that I do, in fact, find this offensive. And if you don't find it offensive, then let me pose it to you this way, right? Trump dressing up as the Pope, even in an AI image. Suppose Donald Trump had created an AI image of himself as the Prophet Muhammad. Would that be offensive? Oh, hell yeah, without hesitation. Suppose Donald Trump posted a photo of himself as a rabbi. He would immediately be labeled anti-Semitic. Rightfully so, by the way. But he does it to the Catholics. The Catholics, butt of everybody's jokes, and granted, yeah, they got a lot of problems in the church, and I'm not defending any of that. I've attacked it for decades. But kind of seems like Catholicism is like the one religion everybody's cool with just shitting on all the time. Right? Like, you can do that and not worry. You're not going to get labeled a bigot or anti-Semitic or anything like that. But this is equally as offensive. And I do think people need to understand that, and I think people need to kind of reflect a little bit and realize that, no, regardless of what you believe, you don't mock other people's faith. You don't. You absolutely do not do that. Doesn't matter what the faith is. And we do know, obviously, there are some religions you don't do that. But for some reason, there's others that you absolutely are like, yeah, this is totally cool to do. So that bugs me. It genuinely really does. But anyway, here's the responses from some of Donald Trump's most diehard supporters. One of them, Rita Sellers, who once ranted that Joe Biden was a jackal who makes her skin crawl, said this: I'm not a Catholic, but I'm a Christian and Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. However, I do not think it was a good idea to have President Trump look like the Pope. He is no Pope. He is the President of the USA, period. This was disrespectful to the Catholic faith. There is nothing to laugh at. You all, whoever did this, really messed up on this one. Another one said, why did I ever believe you actually loved America or over your own hubris? You only love yourself, and I've never regretted voting for you more than I do today. Never again. That's a wonderful comment. Another woman, Rebecca Williamson, said, I'm an evangelical Christian, never been Catholic, but I really wish you hadn't shared this. Your interview suggesting that being Pope was a bit cringy in itself, but this is borderline sacrilegious, no matter what your beliefs. Why must we fuel the fake news fires? Okay. Another said, Trump, I voted for you, and I admire what you're doing for us. Like raising your prices on everything? You admire that? Cool. But this is a mistake. Stop doing those mistakes. Messing with the Almighty may cause our demise. It's Christ who instated the papacy upon the first Pope, St. Peter, and here you are messing around with what's sacred. How dumb of you. Another said, who is advising you to post this photo, U.S. Pope, and past video, Trump Gaza? They're fired. It's spelled there, T-H-E-I-R, like a possessive. They're fired. Another one said, this is a bridge too far for me. And another said, I love Trump, but this post isn't funny. Pretty scary, actually. And it is, because this man's ego has no bounds, right? His hubris, as the one user pointed out, which I think is a great way to put this, that is what's driving this. He is a megalomaniacal crazy person, essentially. And that is what this image shows us. The fact that he even thought it was okay to post it shows us that he is completely disconnected from reality. He has no respect for anyone other than himself. That is what this image means to me.
I told you guys, if Mark Carney wins Prime Minister in Canada, anytime he stands next to Donald Trump, the world is going to see how shockingly bad and uninformed Donald Trump is. Prime Minister Mark Carney, serves as a reminder of who the hell is in office right now in the United States of America. Mark Carney was at a press conference today in the Oval Office, sitting next to Donald Trump, and the exact same thing happened near the end, at the very end, actually, that happened to President Zelensky of Ukraine, when he actually stood up for Ukraine and against Donald Trump as professionally as he could. And then Donald Trump came back and did his true narcissistic attack. Well, just like in the textbooks, it happened again. Mark Carney said, we will not, and he said it so politely, Canada will not become the 51st state. And furthermore, we're America's biggest customer. And there's some things America has done to take advantage of that. And we're here to sit down and discuss that. And I look forward to those talks. And that you don't say things like that to a narcissist. It make Donald Trump all triggered and all in his feels. And all he did was come back and he did the classic narcissist response. We don't need Canada. We need nothing from Canada. Canada would be nothing without America. We got to stop sending all this money to Canada. We don't need your steel. We don't need this. We're going to build all these plants and make it all here, which we're not. It was a narcissistic response. Nothing more. It wasn't leadership. It wasn't factual. It wasn't productive. But boy, the stark difference of Mark Carney next to Donald Trump and what true leadership looks like and what really bad leadership looks like. Thank you, Canada. I told you, you guys are helping America with the way you guys voted.
Well. Now, we got to talk about something that I meant to talk about last week, but I'm glad that I'm waiting to this week to talk about it because Princess Nincompoop added some more to it. I knew he would. He wasn't going to leave it at just 2 dolls. You know what I'm talking about. Yes, when he had to admit that the economy is really bad and it will continue to be bad all the way through Christmas because he said you're going to have to rein it on in, honey, at what you spend. And maybe your baby don't need $30 at Christmas. 2 will do. Now, firstly, I would like to say, who in the hell is out there buying their baby 30 baby dolls for Christmas? That must be a 1% thing, honey. That must be a 1% thing. Because even that one year in my household when we was doing really well, Daddy had, my stepdaddy had landed, I just wanted to clear that up, baby. The orange buffoon is not my daddy. even though I call him that sometimes, but that's a slap in the face to the Maga kind, because they all worship him and call him daddy. I call him Daddy Dumpy Pants because, well, if he's anybody's daddy, he's a diaper's daddy. Anyway, back to what I was trying to say. Now, I'm going to ramble on because I keep getting confused because Chico won't be quiet, honey. When he gets to just trilling and a dealing, I get confused. Chico, shh. Mama trying to do a video, baby. Mama trying to do a video. I know you're happy. It's about to rain and you're getting excited. There's something you should know about the budgies, the parakeets, baby. They like to get frisky when it's raining outside. Yes, the inner instincts tell them that if it's raining, the water will be plentiful. There will be plenty to drink, so it's time to breed now. And it's going to rain today, and he is over there trilling and dilling and singing his song, trying to impress his lady. And I don't know why. He's just got the one lady. She's your lady. She ain't going nowhere. You ain't got to impress her no more. Y'all are stuck together, baby, for the rest of your life. Hush. Anyway, back to what I was trying to say. Who the fuck is out there today buying 30 goddamn baby dolls? Now, like I was saying, my stepdaddy, one year he landed a job here in Mobile doing the marble floors for Six Flags Over Jesus. There's this huge church in our town, one of the mega churches, and it was built in the 90s, in the early 90s, and my stepdaddy landed the job to do the marble flooring and staircase. So, baby, we was living the high life that year, honey. We had money. We had money for like the first time in a long time. Like literally the year before, we were living in a motel, baby. Not even a hotel. We didn't have that much money. It was a motel, baby. You know the difference between the H and the M. Yes, baby. Anyway, so we had a great Christmas that year. I got all kind of stuff, but what I did not get was 30 goddamn baby dolls. I did get 30 new CDs, but they didn't pay but a penny for those. You remember Columbia House? Yes. That year, my parents got me every CD that I wanted on the music list. It was one of the best Christmases I ever had. Usually on Christmas, I just got like apples and oranges and shit, honey, and pajamas and underwear. But this Christmas, I got a whole lot. But what I did not get was 30 fucking baby dolls. Anyway, I know who's out there buying 30 baby dolls for their babies. I bet you Booger Sugar Jr., when he was little, he used to get like 30 G.I. Joes every Christmas. Anyway, he has come out again to say that we just need to rein in our spending. Yeah, the American people need to rein it in. They need to quit buying into capitalism. Now, if that isn't the most leftist-ass thing I have ever heard in my life, so our devious and mischievous plans are absolutely working. He is repeating and parroting back things that the blue team, the purple team, and the green team have been saying for quite some time. But either way, I just want you MAGA out there to know today that he just means you, baby. You got to roll it back. You can bet your ass that this Christmas, everybody in his family will have 30 dolls. Hell, he might even order him a couple mail order maidens from across the way. He's very fond of those. I'm sure they will all be getting each other some Booger Sugar, some mail order maidens, and the kiddos will be getting a bunch of baby dolls, honey. If that's even what rich people buy their kids, I don't even know. Last time I checked, rich people buy their kids exorbitantly things that they don't need, like Gucci shoes and purses and shit. Anyway, they are going woke, baby. They are going woke. And while they go woke, you just should know that y'all are all going to go broke while they're trying to convince you to go woke. Just letting you know that. But you know who is not going to go broke, and you know who's going to continue to spend an exorbitant amount of money, your taxpayer money, friend? That would be Daddy Dumpy Pants. I mean, I'm sure he is due to go play golf any day now. Any day now. He didn't play golf but twice last week, so that was $6 million. Yes, you paid $6 million last week for him to play golf, but your babies don't get Christmas this year. Now, you can go to your local food bank at Christmas time, and they will give you a big bag of apples and oranges that you can put in your baby's stockings. It's called struggle, and it's real. And you're about to learn the deal. Not the art of it, just the facts of it.
It is a very bad day for the state of California. I don't even know how I missed it yesterday. The Benicia refinery caught fire yesterday in California. Yeah. And this is a 175,000 barrel a day refinery. And I've been warning Californians for a long time about their reduced refining capacity and how if any little thing happens, a fire, lightning strike, some type of mechanical failure, you lose a refinery, your gas prices skyrocket. And then they lost the Martinez refinery to a fire. It's not fully back open yet. And their gas prices skyrocketed. And now this. And after the Martinez refinery fire, I told them, I said, if this happens again, oh my God. And here we are. And isn't it weird? I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but what are the odds this refinery catches fire days after they announce they're going to close at the end of the year? What are the odds? Now, I'm not saying there's anything, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying anything bad intentional happened. I'm just saying it's what are the odds? That's all I'm saying. Someone tell me what the odds are. Someone tell me gas prices have to be going through the roof right now as we speak in California. I bet people got up today and their gas prices are significantly higher. This is a bad scene. I'm telling you. Gas is going to be very expensive. And now we go to the next step. What happens if there's another refinery? What happens if there's a bad storm? What happens if there's a flood? Anything to shut down any refineries in California that are left. What happens? Tom Closa here says he thinks gas will be $6 to $7 a gallon. State average, probably. There are many parts of California where gas will probably be higher than this, but state average, probably. So the government, California's government, state government's going to probably have to take some action here. They're probably going to have to take some action. I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to have to do something. They need to go through their book of regulations, which is probably 8 feet tall, and they're going to have to find all of the regulations, most of which nobody even knows anything about. They're going to have to ease up on some of these regulations to get more gas into the state. They're going to have to. And the regulations that would cause that gas to get there immediately. This is the scenario in California that I've been warning you guys about could happen. This is the one thing you don't want to happen. And now that this has happened, it's 10 times worse if it happens again. Major gas shortages. People not being able to get gas, basically. And the gas that's out there being super expensive. If this happens to one more refinery. Let me know if you're in California what you're seeing in gas prices. I suspect they've skyrocketed this morning. I haven't looked. I want to hear from the people. I don't want to look on the internet. If you're from California, let me know what you're seeing. Thanks.
Instead of deporting undocumented migrants the hard way, President Trump says he's going to try the easy way. Just pay them.
What we thought we'd do is a self-deport, where we're going to pay each one a certain amount of money, and we're going to get them a beautiful flight back to where they came from, and they have a period of time. And if they make it, we're going to work with them so that maybe someday, with a little work, they can come back in if they're good people, if they're the kind of people that we want in our company, industrious people that could love our country.
That was the president during an Oval Office event this afternoon. And yeah, you heard him correctly. The president says migrants who are willing to self-deport would be eligible for a certain amount of money. That amount, according to Homeland Security, is $1,000. DHS says if an undocumented migrant uses the CBP app to self-deport, they'll get a plane ticket back to their home country. Once they're confirmed to be back in that country, they will receive their $1,000. And the president says they'll have some kind of path to return to the United States legally at some point. Okay, so there's a lot in there, and I'm going to break it down in this video. I'm sure the first thing that's piquing your interest is the money, which I'm going to get to in a second. But first, you have to understand the president's rhetoric on immigration is now finally running up against the reality of immigration. Of course, we all know the Trump administration has been taking a hardline stance on immigration and doing all these crackdowns and ICE raids. Well, the reality is deporting millions of undocumented people is not easy. It takes money and it takes time through the legal process, neither of which the Trump administration has. Quite frankly, there isn't enough federal funding to support the types of law enforcement efforts the president has been promising, especially not on that big scale. The fact is, according to the Trump administration's own calculations, the average cost to arrest, detain, and remove an undocumented migrant is more than $17,000. That's per person. So multiply that by millions and you can see how that quickly gets out of hand. So this $1,000 and a flight is, in the Trump administration's eyes, a pretty good deal, if the migrant, of course, takes the deal. The other part of what the president is saying is if the migrant self-deports, there may be an easier path for that migrant to return to the United States legally in the future. The fact is, according to the law, if you were found to be here illegally and deported, you could be barred from re-entering the United States in the future for between 3 and up to 20 years. So dangling this idea that there could be some sort of legal path for re-entry may be enticing to get the undocumented migrant out of the country. The other thing you have to understand about this program is it eliminates the Trump administration's requirement to go through the court system. Now that's important because we have seen repeatedly the federal courts blocking President Trump's efforts to deport groups of migrants using obscure laws like the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Why? Because the judges have been saying that these people were just sent out of the United States with no due process, which according to the courts, at least so far, is a constitutional violation because our Constitution and more than 100-year-old interpretation by the United States Supreme Court says anyone in this country, regardless of whether they are a citizen or not, must be given due process. But the president doesn't want to commit to that due process because he says it'll take too much time.
It's a very difficult thing with the courts because the courts have all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they said, maybe you have to have trials. We're going to have 5 million trials. Doesn't work.
Quick fact check there. The Supreme Court justices and the federal courts who have ruled so far did not say trials. They said due process. Those are two very different things. But we are going to probably be getting more guidance about all of this from the Supreme Court very soon. So I'll keep you posted on that. The bottom line, though, is in the Trump administration's eyes, if an undocumented migrant self-deports, then there's no need for due process, no due process required because that migrant is leaving the United States voluntarily. And that solves another hang-up for the Trump administration. So if you want to read more about this new program, I'm going to email all that information out to you in tonight's Facts HQ email, so make sure you sign